Hello everybody, I am Uknits. Today I wanted to talk to you about a story that's become very popular in recent years, in movies and in TV, and of course the classic Disney adaptation of it, and it's Snow White. Now a lot of the recent interpretations take more off of the original Disney version, but I went back to the original story and it turns out the Disney version chopped out a large chunk of the story towards the end. But for good reason it seems. Now the story begins the same way. King and queen have a daughter. She's beautiful, Snow White, etc., etc. Mother dies, father remarries, father dies, evil queen takes over and is resentful of her beauty. So she sends a huntsman out to kill her. Huntsman can't do it because of her beauty and purity. He kills an animal and brings back its internal organs. In modern stories it's the heart, in old stories it's the liver or the lungs. The evil queen eats them to obtain the power of her beauty somehow. And Snow White runs off into the woods and takes refuge in the cottage of 7 dwarfs who agree to help her in exchange for some housework. This, though, is where the story takes a turn for the ridiculous. And no, the evil queen eating her lungs to obtain her beauty was not the ridiculous part. Next day, the dwarves go off to work and tell her, "You need to lock the door and don't open it for anyone because the evil queen's after you." And we all know that when evil queens who control massive armies and magic powerful enough to locate you get to the house, they will be completely stopped by those couple inches of wood. So don't open that door. They go off, and immediately a peddler comes by. And the peddler is selling lace and bodices, and says, "Hello, dearie, would you like a nice lace bodice?" To which Snow White responds, "Oh, but I'm not supposed to let anyone in, tee-hee." But eventually the evil queen convinces her to let her in and try a bodice on her, and as soon as the bodice is on her, she pulls the lace and strangles her. No poison, no magic, just good old-fashioned strangling a girl. Gets home, turns out she's dead because when you're strangled you die. And she's happy, the dwarves get back and are like, "Oh no, she's dead, but look at that lace, that wasn't there before." They cut the lace and Snow White comes back to life. Now, wait a second, that's not how strangulation works. If someone is drowned in a river, pulling them out of the water doesn't cause them to breathe again. Death by asphyxiation would not be half as problematic if that were the case. But we go past that. The next day, the dwarves are like, "Okay, hopefully you learned your lesson. Really don't open the door for anyone." Snow White is all la-di-da and agrees not to do it. Another peddler comes by, and we're back somewhere in the woods near the mountains. There shouldn't be that many peddlers coming by. That should be the first warning sign, but that aside, peddler comes by and is like, "Oh, dearie, I'm selling beautiful jewelry for your hair." And Snow White says, "Oh, but I'm not supposed to open the door, tee-hee." And eventually the evil queen convinces her to open the door. Not open the door, open the window, and pass the jewelry through the window, because that's not opening the door. Brilliant. Loopholes. Snow White takes a comb, puts it in her hair, and falls dead because it was poisoned. Because she has no pattern recognition. Evil Queen leaves, the mirror says, "You are the most beautiful in the land." And the dwarves come home and are like, "Oh no, there's no lace to cut, but look at this in her hair." Pull it out, and she gets back up. Apparently the poison was not that good. Next time, Queen, you might want to stab her with a knife. Though knowing her, if you pull the knife out, she'll probably just come back to life, because apparently that's how death works in this fairy tale. Regardless, dwarves leave, tell her not to open the door, and then another woman comes by the house, selling apples. "My dearie, would you like an apple?" "Oh no, I've been poisoned twice in the last 2 days. I probably shouldn't do that, tee-hee." Well, eventually the queen convinces her that she'll eat the white half to prove it's not poison, and Snow White can eat the red half. Warning sign! Apples are not supposed to be white, especially not half white, half red. Maybe if it was half green, half red, or half yellow, half red, I might buy it, but not half white, half red. Regardless, the queen eats the white half and is fine. Snow White eats the red half and falls dead on the floor. The dwarves get home, and there's, no articles of clothing or no jewelry to remove, and they assume that she's really dead this time. And they build a glass coffin that all might admire the dead body's beauty, and set up a guard. They didn't set up the guard when she was still alive, and it could have made a difference, but better late than never, kind of. So a year later, Prince rides by and is like, "Oh, such a beautiful dead body. I'd like that." And the dwarves are like, "No, she's a dead body. What are you going to do with a dead body?" But the prince responds, "Oh, but I'm so totally in love with it. I must have it." and the dwarves agree that this necrophilia is so romantic that he must have the dead body. Now, you'd think that he'd kiss her, but no, she's a dead corpse. You don't kiss dead corpses. Instead, his two servants go to lift the coffin, and Snow White falls over out of the coffin, and the apple falls out of her mouth, and he gets back up. Really? That was as simple as it was. The apple falls out of the mouth because your servants manhandled her? Good job. Really classic. So, the two of them go off to get married. The evil queen, the two of them go off to get married, and she gives a big "forget you" to the dwarves who protected you for the past year and set a guard over your body and agreed to help you and let you stay at the house. I'm going to go move in the castle now with this prince I've never met. And then they get married. The evil queen is like, "Ooh, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" She says it's the prince's new bride. So she goes to the wedding to see this beautiful bride, recognizes Snow White, and is paralyzed by shock. And then the Snow White, recognizing the evil queen, has shoes made of iron burned red hot in flames and put on her feet until she dances herself to death. Great way to handle executions. Really humane there. Though I suppose maybe if you take the shoes off, she'll come back to life. I don't know. Regardless, from that tale, I believe the words of wisdom we can take are that when 7 midgets give you advice, you'd best listen to them. And with that, adieu, fair audience. Adieu.